Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's Major League Baseball playoff games in the AL and NLCSs respectively. Look ahead to tonight's baseball game. NBA, we'll look back on last night's games, look ahead to tonight's games. NHL, same thing. Major League Soccer, we'll just go over the games from last night. College football, we'll go over yesterday's result, look ahead to tonight. Thursday night football tonight, we're going to talk golf, news and notes, Masked Singer, and my best bet for the day. We will start in Major League Baseball. We will go over the two games from yesterday, look ahead to tonight's lone game. So without further ado, here we go. ALCS Game 5, Astros over the Red Sox 9-1 to take a 3-2 series lead. Getting the win, Framber Valdez and the loss, Chris Sale. As the Astros go up 3-2 and return home with a chance to clinch their third World Series appearance in the last 5 years. Braves over the Dodgers 9-2. The Braves take a 3-1 series lead. Drew Smyly the win, Julio Urias the loss. As the Braves have a chance to close it out tonight to clinch their first World Series appearance since 1995. Now we look ahead to tonight, 8 o'clock on TBS. You have the Braves and the Dodgers. Max Fried. And on the Dodgers side, it says TBD. I wonder if they're going to go with the Corey Nebel opener thing and then do by committee kind of a deal. So it's a big mystery about who's going to start for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Because it was Urias last night. The night before, it was Walker Buehler, but they took him out early on Tuesday. So you would have to think it's Max Scherzer because we haven't seen him in a couple of days. We haven't seen him since Sunday. So Scherzer on short rest, is that the move? So, I'm very fascinated to see which direction they go. And then you would have Buehler on regular rest if the Dodgers were to win tonight on Saturday. The Dodgers are minus 152. The Braves are plus 128. Over under 8. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Braves plus 1.5 is minus 154. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 128. This has been an over series, so I'm going to go over 8 at minus 115 for my pick for this game. I do like the Dodgers, too, to force a game 6, but podcast play over 8 at minus 115. All right, now we'll look back on the NBA window from last night, and we will look ahead to 3 games tonight in the association. Hornets over the Pacers 123-122. Hornets 1-0, Pacers 0-1. LaMelo Ball 31 points and 7 assists. Domantas Sabonis 33 points, 15 boards. Bulls over the Pistons 94-88. The Bulls are 1-0, the Pistons are 0-1. Zach LaVine 34 points, 4 assists. Jeremy Grant 24 points for Detroit. Knicks over the Celtics, 138-124 in double overtime in what was an all-time classic of a season-opening game. It was true what Mike Breen said on the broadcast last night. As the Knicks go to 1-0, Boston 0-1. Julius Randle, 35 points, 8 boards and 9 assists. Jaylen Brown, 46 points to lead the Celtics. Like I said, this is probably one of the best regular season openers of my lifetime And Mike Breen said, considering it was the 75th anniversary opening game or opening week, he said that this is going to go down as one of the best regular season openers of all time. And a big moment for him because it's the Knicks on national TV, relevant, garden rocking, and obviously you had the big shot by Jaylen Brown from the logo to make it a 1-point game. Julius Randle hits both free throws, and then Marcus Smart ties the game on a corner three wide open to get a double bang out of Mike Breen to force overtime. And then the teams were trading three-pointers in the first overtime. Then it was double overtime. Celtics took it early in double overtime. And then, to me, the difference in this game was Tom Thibodeau making some changes in overtime and the new head coach of the Boston Celtics unwilling to do so. So I think that was a big reason why New York came out on top over Boston despite collapsing in the fourth quarter, which allowed the Celtics to come back and force overtime. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that game a lot because it was just one of the greatest, like I said, one of the greatest regular season opener games of all time. Wizards over the Raptors, 98-83. Best bet, an absolute trash of a loser. The Wizards 1-0, Toronto 0-1. Bradley Beal, 23 points. Scotty Barnes had 12. Grizzlies over the Cavaliers, 131-121. The Grizzlies are 1-0. Cavaliers 0-1. Jared Allen, 25 points for Cleveland. And John Morant, 37-6 for Memphis. Timberwolves over the Rockets, 124-106. The Timberwolves are 1-0. Houston 0-1. Karl Anthony Towns had 30 points and 10 boards. Christian Wood, 16 points and 9 boards for Houston. 76ers over the Pelicans, 117-97. Philly 1-0. New Orleans 0-1. Joel Embiid, 22 points and 5 assists. Brandon Ingram, 25 points and 6 assists. Spurs over the Magic, 123-97. The Spurs 1-0. And the Magic 0-1. Devin Vassell, 19 points for the Spurs. And Mo Bamba, 18 points and 4 assists. Jazz over the Thunder, 107-86. The Jazz 1-0. OKC 0-1. Bojan Bogdanovic, 22 points for Utah. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 18 for the Thunder. Nuggets over the Suns, 110-98. Denver 1-0. Phoenix 0-1. Nikola Jokic, 27 points, 13 boards. Mikal Bridges had 16 to lead Phoenix. And last but not least, the Kings over the Trailblazers, 124-121. Sacramento 1-0. Portland 0-1. Harrison Barnes, 36 points to lead the Kings. And CJ McCollum had 34 for Portland. Now we look ahead to tonight, 7:30 on TNT. You have the Mavericks and the Hawks. Obviously, Luka versus Trey and that subplot and the draft night trade and the what ifs if the Hawks took Luka instead of Trey. Even though Trae Young's a super duper star himself and made it further in the playoffs than Luka, we still know who the better player is, and that's Luka Doncic. But the question is the Mavericks the better team? I would say no. Meanwhile, I have the Hawks projected as 5.5-point favorites in the total 222.55. Meanwhile, it is 2.5 and 224.5. I'm laying the 2.5 with Atlanta. Under 3 at home. I love it. That crowd's going to be ruckus. Trae Young's going to have a big game. And I think he has a better supporting cast than Luka Doncic. So I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Hawks. 8 o'clock, the Bucks and the Heat. I project the Bucks by 2, total 223.55. Meanwhile, it's Bucks by 2.5, total 224. All the numbers are so close. I have a half-point edge on Miami and a 45th of 100 edge on the under. I'm going to take the Heat, getting the 2.5. Drew Holiday wasn't 100% coming out of the opener. And if he's hurt, then I project Miami as a favorite. So I'm going to take Miami getting the points. So he has a heel injury. And they're still favored, so I'm going to take the Heat getting the 2.5. The Clippers and the Warriors, 10 o'clock on TNT. I project the Warriors by 5, total 228-15. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 227. I have a 1.5 edge on the Warriors and a slightly over 1 point edge on the over. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with the Golden State Warriors against the Clippers. Their home opener. I think Steph Curry's going to play better. Obviously, no Kawhi. So I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Golden State at home against the Clippers. Okay, now I will move on to the NHL from last night. 2 games. And we will look ahead to tonight's big slate. Flyers over the Bruins 6-3. The Flyers are 2-0-1. Boston 1-1-0. The number 3 started the game with 2 assists. Derek Brassard. Number 2 started the game with a goal and assist. Joel Farabee. And the number 1 started the game with 2 goals. Cam Atkinson. Blues over the Golden Knights 3-1. The Blues 3-0-0. Vegas 1-2-0. Number 3 started the game with a goal. William Karlsson. Number 2 started the game with 35 saves on 37 shots. Robin Lehner. And the number 1 started the game with the goal, Vladimir Tarasenko, in which was the go-ahead goal in the game. Now we look ahead to tonight. Monster slate, 7 o'clock. We have the Hurricanes and the Canadiens. The Hurricanes are minus 126. Montreal plus 108. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Hurricanes minus 1.5 is plus 210. Montreal plus 1.5 is minus 260. I think the Hurricanes are so much better than the Canadiens. I'm going to lay the minus 1.5 at plus 210. But you would think that the Canadiens are going to get a win at some point, but I just don't think it's going to be tonight. Sharks, Senators. Each team's minus 108. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. San Jose plus 1.5 is minus 295. Ottawa minus 1.5 is plus 235. So the favorite team on the puck line is Ottawa. But as far as I'm concerned, San Jose is unbeaten. Ottawa also has 4 points, but they have a loss. But this feels like a peeking ahead game a little for San Jose. So I'm going to take the Sens at minus 108 and a pick 'em. Avalanche, Panthers. Florida minus 122. Colorado plus 104. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 108. Unders minus 112. Colorado plus 1.5 is minus 260. Florida minus 1.5 is plus 210. Nathan McKinnon's back for this team. I'm going to take them plus 104 against Florida. Next up, the Capitals and the Devils. The Capitals are minus 126. Devils plus 108. Over under 6. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Capitals minus 1.5 is plus 205. Devils plus 1.5 is minus 255. The Devils have been playing good hockey. They're 2-0. They're a dog, but I don't know if I am willing to take them to win. But I do like something in this game. And I kind of like the under. This just feels like a low-scoring game, division game. Caps have good goaltending, so I'm going to go under 6 at minus 104. Islanders, Blue Jackets. Islanders minus 152. Columbus plus 128. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 108. Unders minus 132. Islanders minus 1.5 is plus 184. Columbus plus 1.5 is minus 225. I'm going to take... This is a tough one here. I'm tempted to take the Blue Jackets straight up. But I don't know who they're going to start in goal, and it's under who the Islanders are going to go with either. So, The under, I think, is so juiced heavily. I really don't know where to go. I'm going to go with the contrarian over and bank on an empty net goal being put in this game somewhere. Next up is at 7:30, the Flames and the Red Wings. Calgary's minus 138, Detroit plus 118, over under 5.5. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Calgary minus 1 is plus 195. Detroit plus 1 is minus 240. I'm going to take the Red Wings at home. I like Alex Nedeljkovic. Maybe Calgary's overlooking them, so I'm going to take the Red Wings as a home dog tonight. 8 o'clock, the Rangers and the Predators. Preds minus 116, Rangers minus 102, over under 5.5. Overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Rangers plus 1 is minus 285. Nashville minus 1 is plus 230. The Preds are going to have to get a win at some point, right? I'm taking them at home against the Rangers. I just think the Preds are due. Juicy Saros will play well. So give me the Preds minus 116. Under minus 120, the Preds, they like it. Ducks, Jets. The Jets are minus 100. The Ducks are plus 168, over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. Ducks plus 1 is minus 148. Jets minus 1 is plus 120. I'm going to take the Ducks as a big dog. The Jets, to me, have been a little off. Anaheim's been competitive in every game. They could have beaten Edmonton the other night, but they couldn't stop the firepower of that offense. So I'm going to take a shot here at the Ducks at plus 168 on the road at Winnipeg. 8:30, Canucks, Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are minus 144. The Canucks are plus 122, over under 5.5. Overs minus 148, unders plus 120. Vancouver plus 1 is minus 220. Chicago minus 1 is plus 180. I'm going to go with the Canucks here, plus 122. I just don't like what I've seen from the Blackhawks. They should have beaten the Devils last week. They're getting booed on home ice. This isn't the same team that won the Cup a couple years ago. They're in that same predicament of living in the past, and the past is haunting you and thinking these guys are still good. Like, the Giants fell into that trap in football with Eli Manning. The San Francisco Giants are kind of in that trap, but it paid off this year. The LA Kings are in that trap. There's a couple good examples around sports, but the Blackhawks are certainly one of them. So I'm taking Vancouver plus the 122 against the Blackhawks. And at 10 o'clock, the Oilers and the Coyotes. Edmonton minus 210, Arizona plus 176, over under 6.5. Overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Edmonton minus 1 is plus 122. Arizona plus 1 is minus 146. I'm going over 6.5 at minus 108. It's a high total, but I'm going over. I just think it's a lot of goals in this game. Arizona stinks in net. Edmonton's a high-scoring offense, so I'm going to go over 6.5 at minus 108. All right, now I'm going to go over the Major League Soccer games from last night. Some interesting results, of course. So without further ado, here we go. Atlanta and NYCFC 1-1 draw. New England over DC United 3-2. Chicago over Cincinnati 4-3. Miami over Toronto 3-0. Orlando and Club Football Montreal 1-1 draw. LAFC over Dallas 3-2. Minnesota over Philadelphia 3-2. LA Galaxy over Houston 3-0. Nashville and Columbus 1-1 draw. Colorado and Seattle 1-1 draw. Vancouver over Portland 3-2. San Jose over Austin 4-0. So there will be games on Saturday, so we'll preview and pick them on tomorrow's podcast. Okay, college football, we will go over the results from last night, and we will look ahead to tonight. As Appalachian State upsets number 14 Coastal Carolina 30-27, as App State goes to 5-2 and Coastal drops to 6-1. So Coastal's handed their first loss of the year. App State picks them off, so good on App State. So App State goes from losing at home as a road favorite to winning at home as a home dog, or losing on the road as road favorites and winning at home as a home dog. So Sunbelt home dogs have been money so far this season. So now we move on to tonight where we have 4 games. As we'll do our thing. So 7:30 on ESPN, you have Tulane number 21 SMU. I project SMU by 13, total 66-1. Meanwhile, it is 14.5 and 70.5. So last night it was 13.5. It goes up to 14.5. And the play here is the under. I just think it's a little bit of a more lower scoring game. Big game for SMU. I think they'll play well defensively. Tulane isn't the Tulane of old offensively, so I'm going to go under 70.5 for that game. Next up, 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. You have FAU and Charlotte. I project this game as FAU by 1, total of 54. Meanwhile, it's FAU 6.5, total 56.5. This line just keeps going up, up, up. I love Charlotte in this spot. It was actually 7.5. It went down. So the pick here is Charlotte getting all the points. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think it'll be a lot closer than that number suggests. On ESPNU, Louisiana and Arkansas State, I project Louisiana by 11, total 65-8. Meanwhile, it is 18.5 and 70.5. I'm going to go with Arkansas State and the points. Will they win? No. But I do think that this game will be closer than that number, and I have a lean on the under as well, as like I do in the other 2 games I discussed. And last but not least, at 11 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, San Jose State and UNLV. Due to the supposed absence of the quarterback for San Jose State, I only project them as a half-point favorite in the total of 45-85. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 44.5 as the actual line in total. I have a slight lean to the over, but the pick here is going to be UNLV getting the points. This line stinks. San Jose State doesn't have their quarterback, but I just think that this game's a little closer. Conference home dog. Maybe they pull out the outright upset, but I'm taking UNLV getting the 3.5, but I do expect San Jose State to win. Thursday night football. It's a interesting game between 2 teams that have kind of fallen apart for a variety of reasons, and the Browns and the Broncos. Again, will be on Fox. It'll be presumptively Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call, you would think, because no ALCS tonight, so smart scheduling by Fox right there. So I project the Broncos as a half-point favorite, total 45-25, and that is because of the supposed absences of Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and the rookie linebacker Owusu Koramoah. And now I want to see if Jerry Jeudy is playing tonight. So it looks like that he probably won't play. So let's just project a pick'em here, because it doesn't look like that Jerry Jeudy will play in tonight's game. It's going to be Case Keenum. Then Teddy Bridgewater all of a sudden is I'm not locked to play, but he's expected to start. So that's good news. And the actual line right now in this game is Browns by 2, total 40.5. So it went up a point from last night. And the pick for the podcast is going to be the over, because of the uncertainty of Bridgewater. I do still think that this has a chance to be a high-scoring game. Case Keenum was a quarterback of an offense that had competent weapons before. And the Browns still have some good players on offense, even without the running backs. And their third-string running back isn't bad either. And if Bridgewater plays, I think Denver can score a little bit on the Browns' defense, because they're missing the rookie linebacker, Owusu Koramoah. So I think that the Browns could be scored on, and it showed in the last couple games. So, give me the over as the podcast play, and I do think that Denver wins the game, plus 106 straight up, and plus 2 against the spread. Okay, now we'll move on to golf, as we will go over the current leaderboard for the Zozo Championship. And in first place at the moment with a score of 7 under, Hiroshi Iwata. Tied for second with 6 under, Hideki Matsuyama and Joaquin Neiman. Fourth place with 5 under, Matt Wallace. Fifth place with 4 under, Brendan Steele. Tied for 6th with 3 under, Cam Triangle, Tommy Fleetwood, Jonathan Vegas, Matt Jones, Kramer Heacock, Ryoshi Kaneshita, Adam Schenk, Troy Merritt, Sean Norris, Naokuti Katakoka, Henry. Oh, wait a minute. Moret Norris, Katakoka, Higgs, Alex Noren, James Hahn, Sam Ryder, and Carlos Ortiz are all tied for 13th with 2 under. That was my mistake. Tied for 21st with 1 under, Luke List, Saiwoo Kim, Evan Van Royen, Chris Kirk, Lucas Griffin, Walter Zalatoris, Yuki Inamori, and Ryuka Hashino. Tied for 29th at even, Keegan Bradley, Ricky Fowler, Brandon Hagee, Garrick Higo, Kyle Stanley, Tomoharu Otsuki, Maverick Neesmith, Wyndham Clark, Kyung Lee, Xander Schauffele, Sebastian Munoz, Mackenzie Hughes, and Pat Perez. Notables. Tied for 42nd, one over Colin Marikwa, Doug Gim, Henrik Norlander. Tied for 52nd with 2 over Adam Long, Ryan Palmer, Taylor Hogue, Roger Sloan, Brendan Todd. Tied for 62nd with 3 over Adam Putnam, Maverick McNeely. It just updated right there. Tied for 68th with 4 over Seb Straka, Emiliano Grillo. And tied for 77th with 6 over Doc Redman. Okay, now we'll do news and notes for the day. Just coming down right now is that the Colts have lost safety Julian Blackmon for the season after tearing his Achilles at practice yesterday. That's a brutal loss for the Colts defense. And it's just unfortunate for them because he was playing well. Odell Beckham Jr. questionable for tonight's game with a grade 3 AC joint and is doing everything he can to play against Denver. Justin Turner exited Game 5 with a hamstring injury, and he's out for the year, according to Dave Roberts. Grade 2 hamstring strain and will be sidelined for the postseason. That is a big loss for the Dodgers offense. So now guys like Cody Bellinger have to continue to step up. Carlos Carrasco has elbow surgery. The Mets announced that he had a bone fragment removed and is expected to resume baseball activities later this winter. We talked about Baker not playing tonight. Myles Garrett drug tested again as he jokingly says that he's retiring. #sleeveless Miles after he randomly got drug tested twice. Dak Prescott has a message on his wrist tape as he's been writing "ask for help" on his wrist tape this season for people struggling with mental health, which is really, really nice of Dak to do that. The Dolphins are closer to a Deshaun Watson trade as it could go down this week. Interesting. And the NFL to end race norming as the league has agreed to stop using race-based system in their testing to determine payouts and concussion settlement. Jabril Peppers' mom on Giants' future as he just says, "I just want to win, baby," amid trade rumors. The Packers signed Whitney Merciless after turning down more money elsewhere. So, to me, Whitney Merciless just wanted to win. That's why he chose Green Bay. Chargers to sign Andre Roberts after he was cut by the Texans. Nick Rolovich obviously was fired due to his refusal to get the COVID-19 shot. And now he's suing Washington State to take legal action for his firing. During the Pelicans home opener last night against the Sixers, the Pelicans fans were trolling Philly with a "Where's Ben Simmons" chant, which was really funny. So the NBA Top 75 of all time came out on Tuesday night before the Nets Bucks game. And James Harden was a part of that list, and he had a priceless reaction. Good for James Harden. Maybe some point we will read off that list on the podcast. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow if there's time. And the last note, that Canadiens GM Mark Bergevin says it's a long shot that Shea Weber returns and says it's unlikely the veteran defenseman will play in the NHL again due to injuries, which is very unfortunate because Shea Weber, when healthy, was playing great for Montreal and helped them to the Stanley Cup final. All right, now I'm going to recap last night's episode of The Masked Singer. It was really good. Group A back. The theme of the show was Time Warp in honor of Halloween. And they go back in time to discover some clues. And they had a guest panelist who came out as like some ice cream cone, and Nick Cannon called them soft serve, and it turns out to be Leslie Jordan. First up goes the bowl. There's nails. There's a photo of Hall & Oates. He said his life was turned upside down. There are theater masks. There are these red bugs. The Eiffel Tower was there. And this person performed Make You Feel My Love by Bob Dylan. And then the special clue of the episode was the past item. And it turned out to be a TV from 1998. So it was a Circa TV. And a very, very small TV. And I'm going to stick with my guess from a week ago of Joe Jonas. This is somebody that I think is a star, boy bander, and gone through a lot in his life. So I'm going to stick with that for now. Ken Jeong went with Taye Diggs. Leslie Jordan went with Cheyenne Jackson. And Jenny went with Lil Nas X, who is very big right now. If this is Lil Nas X, that is monstrous for the show. But I do think this next contestant is somebody that's major right now, and that is the Pepper. She said she was pulled in many directions. There's a gate in the clue package. There's a trophy. Bit of a wizard, which is interesting. Maybe Wizards of Waverly Place connection. And this performer performed No Tears Left to Cry by Ariana Grande. It was very hip-hoppy. I don't think that was Pepper's style. And her past item was an iPod. And I'm going to stick with Olivia Rodrigo for now. Although the bit of a wizard clue made me think of Selena Gomez, who obviously played Alex Russo on Wizards of Waverly Place. I'd be kind of big if they got Selena, but I think this person is more talented than Selena, and I think it's Olivia Rodrigo. And she threw out the driver's license curveball on the show 2 weeks ago. And this week, Pepper threw out a clue of let's get this party started, which made Jenny McCarthy guess pink. Ken Jeong went with Idina Menzel, which would be crazy if she was on the show. And then Nicole Scherzinger went with Ellie Goulding. Then went Skunk. There was champagne. She looked like she was in a castle. And she talks about her biggest regret in life, not saying goodbye to a loved one. And this person sang Square Biz by Tina Marie. her past item was pager digits from 1994, and the pager digit number was 607. And my guess for this is still Tina Turner, but I don't feel super duper about it. Jenny McCarthy went with Jennifer Hudson. Nicole Scherzinger went with Cynthia Rava. And Robin Thicke went with Faith Evans. Next up was the hamster. There's November 30th on a Saturday circled on a calendar. He said he remembers hanging out with a lot of famous people at a party. And Hamster said that Luis Miguel impressed his wife. And there was another water bottle in there. And this person performed Sabor a Me by Luis Miguel. And the past item was a portable TV from 1984. I went with Rick Astley here because I was getting vibes of Never Gonna Give You Up. So I went with Rick Astley, and I thought it was someone from the 80s. Robin Thicke threw out Martin Short and Sean Astin. Leslie said Mark Anthony and A-Rod. Just went with J-Lo's exes right there. And Nicole Scherzinger went with Gabriel Iglesias. And the final wild card of Group A, the Jester, who I thought was going to be called the Clown because he literally is a clown. There's a fun house, chicken and eggs. He said he was on the list of 100 most influential people. He says he's not a bad guy. And this person performed Schools Out by Alice Cooper. I think that Jester should have went home personally, which we'll get to in a moment. And the past item was a jacket from 1975. My guess for Jester right now, because of his rock and roll and the personality, I think this is none other than Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. What a get that would be for the show. Where's Steven Tyler been? Obviously, ex-Idol judge. Very popular. Loves rock and roll. This feels like Steven Tyler to me, and I think it matches his personality. Robin went with Dee Snider, and Ken Jeong said Ricky Gervais and Roger Daltrey. Obviously, Daltrey from The Who. And who goes home? The hamster, who I thought was robbed in this episode. I thought Hamster performed well. I thought Jester should have went home. My first impression guess of the hamster was John Stamos, because he sounded a lot like Elvis in the first couple of weeks. That made me think of John Stamos. And my final guess, Rick Astley. Robin's first and final, both Cheech, ironically enough, because they had Chong on in season 1. Jenny's first impression, she had 2 names down, Andy Richter and Jason Alexander, but her final was Rob Schneider. Nicole's first impression was Jason Alexander. Her final was Gabriel Iglesias. Leslie's final guess was Gabriel Iglesias. Ken Jeong's first impression was Bill Murray, and his final was Will Ferrell. And who was it? Rob Schneider of Saturday Night Live. When I saw him take the mask off last night for a hot second, I thought it was Martin Short, and Robin could have been right. But it was Schneider. So, good get for the show. Somebody from Saturday Night Live. They had a couple of those Saturday Night Live people in the past. Paul Schaefer, obviously, in season 2, among the notable ones. It was cool to see him on the show, and I thought he should have survived another week. So the Group A semifinals, Jester, Hamster, Chester, Skunk, Pepper, Bowl. And then obviously we see Group B one more time. Potentially not for another 3 weeks, because the World Series is on next week, so no Masked Singer. And then the following week, it could very well be a Game 7 of the World Series. So it all depends on the World Series, whether or not we're going to have Masked Singer in 2 weeks from now. or not. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. For tonight, there's some interesting options for sure. I have a ton of sports to choose from. And tonight, I want to go to college football, believe it or not. And what I really like on the docket for tonight in college football, believe it or not, is Charlotte plus 6.5 against FAU. Rivalry game, Conference USA. I think it's competitive. Charlotte's not that bad, so I'm taking them getting the 6.5 at home against FAU, and I think there's a chance they win the game outright. They're plus 210 on the money line. So there you have it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow with the Big Friday podcast with all the picks for college football and the NFL and Fab 5 picks at the end of the show as well as Best Bet. And then we have NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, golf, NASCAR, and the Major League Baseball playoffs. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.